This interview was recorded as part of a session titled Perspectives on Societies and Inclusivity, a Community Dialogue. This video was shown in that session at the Federation of Genealogical Societies Conference, held August 21st through 23rd, 2019 in Washington, D.C. The session and community dialogue was facilitated by Linda Harms Okazaki, Joshua Taylor, and me, Colleen Robledo Greene. We asked Nicka Sewell-Smith, the host of BlackProGen Live, a blogger and influencer, what are one or two ways that the genealogical community, including societies, can be more inclusive?
I think one of the ways that our community and genealogy societies can be more inclusive is to recognize the demographical change that's taking place in our country. I mean, the data has been there for almost 10 years, and I think our community just has kind of drug its feet or maybe just not changed, maybe as quickly as maybe some other areas or maybe some other industries. And I think because of DNA testing, it looks like we're behind because so many new demographics and so many new communities and ways of identifying, whether through DNA testing or just because people feel more comfortable being out in the open about who they are and their personal truth. The genealogy community is kind of slow to kind of address these things. And so I think if we start at the very base level of recognizing, look, being, LGBTQI is acceptable, and that's something that we embrace. I mean, you look just at the advertising campaigns that took place this last Pride Month, how so many companies changed their logos and did all these things to make sure that people felt comfortable being themselves, along with how advertising is taking place in terms of identity, how people self-identify, whether it's through race or through gender or through culture, and how the genealogy community has been really kind of slow. It's actually ironic in the genealogy community that we're kind of on the back end of addressing these things because we're in the business of identity, whether forming who you are, trying to figure out where you come from and those things that kind of, drive you and push you and your family. And so we really should have kind of been on the upswing of this, but we're kind of behind. But that doesn't mean that it's all, that all hope is lost. It's just that we're in a unique position to really embrace a lot of different people that come from a lot of different areas and experiences. And us addressing it now is probably the best thing that could have happened. The other thing is, here we are using demographical data from the Census Bureau. Like, that's one of our primary record sets that we're looking at literally almost every day if you're a researcher. And yet none of us have really taken the time to really dig deep into the data that's being provided on living people. So how do you expect for your society to grow, your community to become richer, if you don't even know the people that you should be reaching out to, what they look like, how they identify, what their ages are, what their racial demographics are? And we can't wait until 72 years from now in order for us to get it. Just like how the census, we have to wait 72 years. Don't wait 72 years. You could be implementing these things now, and you could be providing a richer experience for your society and your individual members if you pay attention to what's going on in our country right now. I think a lot of people think that once we switch things or once we change things, that means that certain folks are going to be alienated or they're going to be discriminated against. And that's really not how we should be looking at this. It's almost like as though folks may think that diversity inclusion may mean, well, that means that, I'm going to remove a part of who I am in order to accommodate other people. And that's not what diversity and inclusion is. Just like my admixture results are not a 100% African. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm casting away the parts of me that don't maybe align with where I focus my research. No, a quarter of me is European. That doesn't mean I'm going to cut my arm off for the sake of the other 3 limbs. So don't look at diversity and inclusion as erasure. And I think if you think about it from the terms of erasure, you might need to do some more critical thinking as to why you think that it's erasure. It may be because of the construct of who you are and where you live and what makes you comfortable. You might need to push yourself in a few areas in order to understand why you think including other people and adding means erasing.
You can participate in this important dialogue by joining our Facebook group, Genealogy, Diversity, and Inclusion Discussions.